slope of the bat, repeatedly checking with the caliper to make sure it meets specifications. He slims down the handle a little more. Then he angles the top of the knob with the chisel. He shapes the rest of it with a square-end chisel. During the past century, creating artificial trees known as bonsai zoke has evolved into a hobby with global appeal. Whether it's rustic pine, flowering cherry, or Chinese elm, bonsai zoke can be made to resemble warm parts of the trunk and branches. He wraps the wires with strips of paper towel for thickness and flexibility. To hold the paper towel in place, he wraps the ends of the wires with more floral tape. He then separates clumps of plastic. The craftsman uses a piece of weathered driftwood as the base of the trunk. He anchors the long wrapped wires into styrofoam around the bottom of the base. He staples the wires to the driftwood and wraps floral tape around the wires surrounding the base. Then he knife. The craftsman trims away the excess styrofoam around the tree trunk. He then places the tree into an argyle pot that's 22 centimeters in diameter and 5 centimeters high. Using a sculpting tool, he covers the styrofoam in the pot with brown modeling clay. Using slow-drying glue, complexity, artificial bonsais range in price from $50 to $800. The adage, "It's hard to improve on a cape," the tubing hardens. After the ice melts, he places the U-bend in a balling out die. He lubricates the tubing with oil and places a steel ball at the top of the tube and presses it down. He drops in smaller balls and they push the first larger ball through the U-tube. This stretches the inside of the tube, rounding it to the correct diameter, and then finally, he solders a brace into place to add structural strength to one of the loops. A diamond-tipped tool engraves the company logo onto the trombone's bell stem, and a cloth buffing wheel spins against the trombone flare to polish it. And starting in the late 1800s in chair seats and bedding. Today, springs pop up all over. They're crucial components of modern technology. Different types of springs include compression on the right and extension on the left. During use, these torsion springs will twist at one or both ends. Workers start with rolls of these ones, shaped like a W, are used in ovens. Here, a worker places a spring into a machine that makes its hooks. He uses an adapter to avoid hurting his fingers. He places each one individually because specs for springs can vary by minute amounts. This company makes some springs with hooks made of 2 rings instead of 1. Clients order segments and complete the assembly. To check the compression spring's tension, a worker tests it with a weight gauge. The correct tension varies depending on what the client wants. A 3.8 centimeter long spring, for example, might need to withstand 5 pounds of tension when compressed to 2.5 centimeters. To test an extension spring, workers just add hooks to the weight gauge. Whether they're extension, compression, torsion, or wire form, and whether they're inside pens or satellites, springs prove that some old ideas definitely